Where's for that? Yeah, it's our jewel and it's so scary.
Will she dance? Will she dance?
Yeah, I'll dance.
Will she dance? Will she be dancing through the door? Here she comes, it's Candace Owens, funky fresh, her dance moves flowing. Investigative journalist, let me see you do the twist. Breakfast dancing every morning, getting down without warning. Bustin' moves without a hitch. I love to make you a sandwich. Will she dance? Will she dance? Will she dance? Will she be dancing through the door?
Of course I'll dance.
Thank you for dancing.
You need anything before you go in?
Easy, yes.
What do you need?
Oh, I'm good.
Before you go in, you good?
Totally good.
Okay, we ready?
You guys.
Oh, here we are. This is Howie Mandel, and I'm on the set of my other podcast that I usually do and will always do with the lovely Harlan Williams. It's called When a Stranger Calls, and we'll put it up on the screen right here. Put it up on the screen. I want people to subscribe. I want you to comment. And every week, every Thursday, there's a new episode. And you could also be on the show. You look at my socials and Harlan's socials, and we tell you when to call. People, you call in and check your spam, because sometimes when we get back to you, it's in spam. And then you come on Zoom and we talk to people. We don't know where you are, who you are, what you want to talk about, and it's fun times. It's called When a Stranger Calls. Just click here to get more information. And now, back to this podcast.
Are you nervous? You feel like nervous.
Well, she makes me nervous.
Oh, that's so sweet. I feel like I don't make anybody nervous.
You really think you don't make anybody
you know
nervous?
what? I think I'm surrounded by my toddlers all day. Toddlers are like very serious people. You know, like, they just say whatever. So like I get bullied by the toddlers.
I get it.
I'm very humble, because like a toddler would tell you about yourself in 3 seconds.
Yeah, but I don't feel humble and Candace go together.
No, it really does. It really does. Toddlers are mean. You know,
How
they
old's
just, like,
your
tell you-
oldest?
4.
Okay.
So I have a 4-year-old, and then I have a 2.5-year-old, and I have a 1.5-year-old. And so, you know, they just, whatever's on their mind, they say. They don't care about anything you do. They're going to tell you exactly what you look like, what you sound like. And so, you know, I get the feeling
Are you not tired?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you do it? I have 2, and I cannot imagine.
Just go. You just got to go. I get up earlier than them.
You
That
go.
helps.
You leave them. Abandon
You
them.
just go. Yeah.
It's the easiest. You just leave. I'm going.
I'm going.
But
Yeah.
Mom, I want breakfast. I'm going. I just
You
get
just
up
gotta go.
and I go.
I got to go. I got to go.
So I'll start with 2 words.
Hold on. Wait.
Oh, I'll wait. Okay. Then I'll say, hold on, wait. That's 3 words.
Here we go.
I'll start with 2 words.
There we go.
Because it just came out. Russell Brand.
Wow. Okay. So instantly, I haven't read into the case. I'm very big on having to actually read the cases. But the first thing I thought when I saw that this morning in the news, when it said 1995, 1999,
Yes.
was like very scary. You know, it's a conversation that you immediately want to open up, because I'm going 1999. I was 10 years old when this alleged crime took place. And I have not looked at any of the evidence, so I'm not here to enter in a verdict, but just in general, it opens up a conversation about, I think, the statute of limitations, right? Because you're going, can something happen that long ago? How do you prove that you were there, anything? This is the land before Facebook, Twitter, X, before smartphones. How can you?
Well, don't you assume, and maybe the wrong word is assume, but don't you assume that because this alleged crime happened in between 1999 and I think she said 2004, and I don't know if it's one person or if it's a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not well read on this particular thing, just the headlines. But first of all, I don't believe in statute of limitations. I think if you do something wrong, then you should pay the price. And if it takes forever to find enough evidence to make that happen, so that the proper punishment can be laid out, then that's okay. You know, but that being said, I would imagine that they were garnering, watching and being a fan of crime television, the amount of evidence that you have to gather to even make a case seems to be, if it's not a civil case, to make a real case.
A criminal case.
A criminal case seems to be like.
Is it a criminal case?
Yeah, wasn't it the?
I'm not sure.
They can bring charges even if it's a civil case. Charges
but it's
don't
not.
mean.
Can you see who's?
Yeah.
Is this the same person that came out? It was a while ago that there were allegations against him that he was trying to say were not accurate. Is this the same person that brought those allegations?
I don't
previously?
know, and that's why I have to do a deep dive because it all happened this morning. And normally, and that's why I'm very cautious to say anything right now because I need to look into the cases. The only thing I would push back on, Howie, is just. Today you can bring forth a case and have nothing. Like this is a different world post Me Too than it was before. And I just don't know. I have no facts. I'm just operating on when I saw the date. I was like, that's a very long time ago. But I would agree with you. And that's why I say it opens up a conversation about the statute of limitations. If this person filed this back in 1999 and I don't know, technology changed, you're able to discover it, whatever it is, then you go, of course, there should be no statute of limitations when you reported the crime right when it happened. But do you believe there should be no statute of limitations, like, as in you can report the crime from 1999? Because then I think that's not how, I guess I'll ask the question, I'm not going to say it's not fair. How fair is it for people to be able to produce their defense, is what I'm saying. If you didn't even bring about the allegation until 30 years later, and you're going, hey, I drove a different car, I don't have my phone, I don't have anything to be able to defend myself and disprove this, that's where I think it gets a little choppy. But I don't know, this person could, for all I know, have brought this up in 1999, and then we're looking at something that I think would be fair if they've.
I believe that sometimes, I would imagine, I'm not a woman, but I would imagine, I'm a girl dad, I would imagine that, no, but sometimes things happen and you don't have the wherewithal, you don't have the opportunity, you are so fucked up at the moment that you don't bring charges or you don't report it, and then at a later date you realize something happened or you realize that something was wrong. Is that not fair? This
is why I really wish I was operating with more facts here, because I have 3 sons. And so the way that you're like, I have a daughter too, but I also have 3 sons. And so instantly I'm going, wow, I just 25 years later, okay, you could have lived so many different lifetimes in 25 years. Again, she may have reported this when this happened. I have no idea.
But what I'm questioning, if she didn't,
then I think it would be very difficult to prepare a defense. Where were you 25 years ago? Right?
Wouldn't it be just as difficult for her to...
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, to have a case.
That's why we have to look at the case, though, because there have been so many instances in the post-Me Too era where we are kind of politicizing trials. We are kind of getting into this vibe where it's like, well, hashtag believe women. That's kind of a scary hashtag. Like hashtag, if I just said it was like hashtag believe men, like, whoa, can we believe facts? I don't know. Like, let's make sure. And that's all I'm saying.
But isn't that what the court is supposed to do?
I mean,
we're not supposed to really be discussing.
You are correct. That is what they're supposed to do. But I'm in the midst of unpacking the Harvey Weinstein trial, and it's pretty terrifying what they allowed in that courtroom. They just overturned it in New York, as they should have. And they just allowed a kangaroo court to take place, like absent any, and this is criminal. He's in prison. Be clear. And that's
you
why
don't think he deserves to be in prison?
I don't know if you know that I've just done this series. And
I do.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame it on you, by the way. I was doing my homework and I got through 2 of your episodes, and then you wanted to come in early, so I did not watch the 3rd. But I did my homework and I watched 2 of them so far.
So it's interesting. So he got caught up, I would say swept up in the Me Too. That's what I mean talking about. We're now in this phase of social justice, and social justice is not real justice. And I thought he was guilty of sin because, I mean, how could you not? There were so many women speaking at the same time, and that allows us to allow a trial by the media and not a trial by the facts. And that's why you have to say, what are the actual facts here in the case? And when I got into them, because somebody said, could you look at this? Because I think you're the only person who will actually look at the facts here and report on what's actually in the case. And I was like, sure. I got on the phone with Harvey Weinstein. I've now been talking to him for about 2 years. And I thought he was guilty. Got the facts, and I was like, this is the craziest thing. And I tweeted, Harvey Weinstein was wrongfully convicted. Everyone thought I was insane. Appellate court just agreed with me, said I can't even believe that this was allowed to take place in the courtroom. Like, what happened here? And they overturned, and now the case is being sent down beginning this month. And so I'm also colored by that, where I have now really abandoned trust in the media to tell me what the facts are. And so the first thing I'm going to do, because I am going to report on this on Monday, is get the court stuff and see, because she could have done everything right. Like, I have no idea. There could be more than one person. By the way, we do know that Russell Brand self-admitted addictions that he had during that time. I'm just curious as to why it would take any courtroom this long. And it does make it difficult to defend yourself. I mean, 25 years later is a very long time. Whereas you could say, oh, I don't even have, 25 years ago, you don't have the same phone number. Did you even have a phone? So I just want to make sure we're looking at it evenly for both of them.
Do you think, I know you talk about looking at it evenly. I know the woman the victim from Harvey Weinstein's trial reached out to you personally, and she wants to talk to you as well. Are you planning on also talking to her?
Absolutely. Told her you can come on my platform anytime you want.
Is she going to do that?
She's not going to do it.
No? She said no?
She opened the conversation, and I said, I'm reading your emails, you know. If you say you were raped, and then she kind of said, well, I didn't say I was raped. This is kind of more of the courts decide on what is or isn't raped, because they decided, which is true, in the wake of Me Too, that the definition of kind of could change. And the judge basically instructed them that this was a new time and you could, in theory, revoke consent. Very scary. That's a very scary thing.
Well, you don't think somebody
Are we going to get dinged, by the way, for using that word?
He'll beep it. He'll beep it.
Okay.
You not, as a woman, do you not think that you can revoke consent of whatever it is you're doing?
When you say revoke consent, as in you did the deed and then the next day you go, actually, I didn't want to do it. And so
what about
that's what they mean, just so you know. Revoking consent as in, like, you decided like that actually maybe you wouldn't have done it, or your understanding of it is different because that person's more powerful than you. So like, yes, I did it, but, and this is what the judge, who the mayor's office of asked him to, what is the correct terminology? Not to rescind himself, but to recuse himself. Thank you. They asked him to recuse himself because they saw that he was biased. There was something very wrong with this judge. What he allowed in the courtroom was crazy. And he had a personal bone to pick with Harvey Weinstein. And he allowed things that were insane. He allowed people to come in and testify, like he got into a fight with his brother once, Bob Weinstein, and that proves he's violent. It's like, what is this doing? What is this doing? It was basically just a character assassination of how he behaved in business, because they didn't feel that they had enough on the actual case because of these women's emails. And this one woman in particular, who put him away for 3 years, was, emailing him for 5 years thereafter, saw him after, went to events with him, stayed with him. Her own best friend testified that she said he was like, a father to her, that she loved him very much. And when you read the emails, it's just weird. I wouldn't let my mom 2 years later meet my alleged. I wouldn't take my mom to lunch with them. So there's just a lot of things here that I feel it's incumbent upon women to speak on, because there are real victims. Like, and by the way, this Russell Brand, she could be one. I didn't look at the case. But my point is that when you have people that are looking for a come up in Hollywood, which is what I believe the Harvey Weinstein case was, versus someone who is walking out to their car, gets hit over the head and gets raped, and you start conflating those two things, it becomes problematic. So that's my interest in the Harvey Weinstein case.
Do you think that maybe there is, I will admit, I have a personal bias because of past experiences or whatever I've been through, where I choose to believe the woman. And that, I know it's a choice. I'm choosing to believe the women because of whatever bias or whatever experience that I have previously gone to, gone through. Sorry. Do you not feel like you have maybe a bias because you have those 3 sons? You're nervous what could possibly happen to them or anything like that? Do you not view it through a different lens than maybe someone else would?
I think it's totally fair to recognize that all human beings have biases. The question becomes whether or not you allow the facts to try out your bias. And in my circumstance, I think I always do. I don't even know, like I told you with Harvey, because I thought he was guilty. So that I genuinely, the media just kind of said so much that I was like, something in there must be true. And that's just kind of like the media inundating you. But when I got to when I looked at the case, I said, this is the craziest thing I've ever read. Like, this is literally a trial by the media. And they just were allowing antics in that courtroom that should have never been allowed. And it doesn't mean that, and I want to be very clear, as you heard me say, he's immoral, okay? He definitely abused his power. He knew that why these women were sleeping with him, obviously, why they were throwing themselves at him. But all of those things, in my view, does not constitute. And I think it's really important that we...
Well, aside from that word, is it not criminal for him to physically force himself on somebody?
But it would be criminal for him to physically force himself on somebody.
And you don't think he ever physically forced himself on somebody?
Having examined the cases, no. In one case, I don't even think he was there. I think the woman, her boyfriend, testified that she made the entire thing up and they still threw the book at him. She was not able to describe his member. I will say, I think that's probably a safe word to say. And it was...
You've already said the R word.
Like multiple times.
Beep, beep, beep. She was not able to describe his private parts, which was a huge piece of the reason why all of the allegations against him fell apart, because I don't know if you knew this, but what ended up helping him in the courtroom when like 97 women were saying that he raped them, oops, I did it again, was that Harvey Weinstein, they would say like, oh, he made me fondle his testes. And Harvey Weinstein actually got a bad case of gangrene when he was in the 90s, and he had his testes removed and they were sewn into his thighs. So he has a very distinct looking member. And so all of these women's allegations fell apart. One of the women who put him in prison, the one in LA.
So how do you know that she didn't fondle his thighs? Howie Mandel here. Let's face it, sugary snacks, candy bars, cookies, they're like that friend who's fun for a night but leaves you feeling crummy the next morning. American Dream Nut Butter is the answer to your sweet tooth prayers. These bad boys are packed with protein and good fats, low in carbs, low in sugar, and they've got gluten-free options for days. Use code Howie10 for 10% off at AmericanDreamNutButter.com. Nothing better than nut butter. I've been saying that for years.
It's a good thing you weren't on the jury, right?
Cross-examined?
Yeah, right, exactly.
She didn't even know. She put her hand on
then
his
she
lap.
tried to plead that she misunderstood the word, and they were like, yeah, the people that actually did sleep with him, they were able to then separate because they all kind of described it as like a burn scene. Like they were like, there's something very wrong. Seriously, this is.
No, I
I'm
know.
reading through the testimonies, and that's how they were even able to realize that some women were completely lying. In LA, she got everything wrong. They wouldn't allow him to think about how crazy this is. They were going to prove she wasn't even at the hotel because that was the one where his defense was, I don't know her. Like all the other ones, he's like, yeah, I slept with her. It was consensual. This one, he's like, I wasn't even there. This is at a whole different hotel. It wasn't the Peninsula. He had a rhythm going. And hers was out of nowhere. Her boyfriend's like, no, she's insane. Like, none of that's true. None of this is true at all.
Wow.
And she, next day, from what she says happened at Mr. C's hotel, posted herself on Instagram in these like sexy shots, like the morning after Mr. C's hotel comes in and testifies that they had a fire alarm that night. Everyone had to leave in the middle of the night. She didn't recall it. Because she wasn't there. Well,
you said his crotch looked like a fire scene.
Yeah, okay. So. There, we could maybe have some evidence there, but they just allowed, because she cried on the stand and they instructed her, but look at how she's crying.
So I believe that cases are mishandled.
Yeah.
And I believe that evidence. Do you think OJ did it?
I wasn't I was such a child. I knew nothing about that case.
But I'm sure you've read.
I mean, honestly, no. You don't kind of go backwards in cases.
Well, what I was saying was I thought the defense was really good and the prosecution was horrible. And he got, but I think it's kind of the same vibe I'm getting from what you're describing in detail. I don't think that they presented a good case, and I think that sometimes, juries are just human beings that kind of go with whatever that social flow feels like, a crying woman versus a guy who has
scary.
Pacific Palisades in his pants is going to be, it's the lilt is that way. Go ahead. You were going to say something?
I think sometimes, though, personally, I think it's dangerous to assume what a victim might look like or how they may act afterwards or what decisions they may make afterwards, because I don't think it's linear. I don't think there's one way to do it. And I think that sometimes it is possible for victims to not even realize they're victims until later on down the road when they really start to reflect and look back at what happened to them. So I don't know if it's just watching your series, to me personally, I don't know if it's completely fair to say, well, I wouldn't have done this. This doesn't seem right to me. I wouldn't have made those decisions afterwards if you're not in that position to make those statements. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I struggle with the emails. I really do. There's just too many of them, and it's over 5 years, I think it would be a fair critique of that if we're talking about what'd you do in the first 48, you know. It's not that. It's with these, it's not that. It's right after, buys a ticket, does this for her, does this for that. It looks very transactional to me. And I do think Los Angeles is a very transactional place, and New York is a very transactional place, and he was at the top, you know. And we can't forget that prostitution is the oldest trade in the book. And when I look at this, I see sugar daddy when I read these emails. I don't see
But
victim.
you can see how that could be very, very hurtful. Even these words that you know.
Yeah, and
because I believe there probably are, and I don't know specifically.
I'm sure it's also hurtful that he sees that his crotch looked like a fire scene.
Yeah, it is.
Just
and
as
by, to
hurtful.
be clear, and you, since you've watched this episode, you know I don't cut him slack on like the abuse of power, the immorality, all of that stuff. I don't want people to think he's like Justin Baldoni, like he's just like a nice guy who got hit by a truck. Like he wouldn't be in the situation if he was faithful to his wife, right? And I think that's important too. But because I know real female victims of things, I think it bothers me. It really does. I don't know any victim of rape or sexual assault or molestation that would engage, and I will carve out an area for it might be different if this is like your dad or like, you know, like where people have a familial relationship where it's different. But when you just have the option to never see this person ever again, to be actively emailing them and asking to see them and saying like, my mom's with me, it's just, I find that to be very atypical. And again, she struggles to say that she's very much like, well, the courts decided whatever it was. That's problematic to me too, because, well, the court decided it was rape, right? That is a very heavy word. The court decided that he is now a rapist. So if you don't agree with that assessment, and he's not agreeing with that assessment, and you're saying, well, I just said like whatever happened and allowed the courts to do it, and now we have the higher court saying that this was a corrupted process, we need to have a bigger conversation here. So I just don't like how Harvey got put away. And you know, I have to state that. And yes, you're correct. I have sons, but I also have a daughter. So it doesn't, you know, I would do anything to protect my daughter. And so, and I think I am protecting her because I think it's important for women to just think about women who have lived through real, and we all know them, you know, who have just been perfect victims, have had something happen to them. Those women don't get believed when you have someone like a Blake Lively who's like pleading sexual harassment, and then we all watch the tape that Brian Friedman drops and we're like, girl. I think this might be called like acting in a scene, like, you know, improv. I don't know. I did it when I was in drama in middle school.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but this conversation started with Russell Brand,
right.
And that brings, and I know you didn't read, you didn't read the case, but you did bring up the point that it's a bit questionable to you that the alleged issue happened in 1999. I also know people who have been through horrific crimes, and which wasn't brought to anybody's attention for more than 20 years, and it's real, and it however that surfaced doesn't matter, and I don't want to get into details.
No, but you're right. That's why I said
things.
This would foster a great conversation. I don't know the facts, and that's what the first thing that I thought about when I read it was this. We should really talk about the statute of limitations, because I can see it both ways. I can see on the one hand, you know, you could make that argument that, what do you mean a crime expires? What are you talking about? Like, does that matter? But then on the other hand, if you're the defense, you're going, how can I possibly bring up, I would have been able to defend myself if this had been like anywhere near the time that it happened. I don't drive that car. I don't have they didn't even have mass surveillance like we have today. So that's my.
Though I would question, and this is just hearsay because we're not talking about specific facts, but I would question if somebody brings to light a crime that happened eons ago, you would have a better chance at defense because the facts aren't there clearly in front of you, and so he can defend himself easier than if this happened yesterday and there were hard facts. And right? No?
I don't know. I'm so unnerved by the Harvey Weinstein case. I think that like courtrooms get crazy. And that's just a fact. Courtrooms get crazy, and they allow things sometimes in the name of social justice. And I want to be clear, because you never know. One of these victims could be watching this. Like, none of us have looked at the facts of this case, so we are kind of speaking about this absent facts and kind of just talking about the statute of limitations in general and our reaction to first seeing the news. I can't wait to get into it, because I do know that he did suffer from addictions, and he's talked about that. So it is totally plausible that he was just this like crazy maniac and did terrible things to people. It's an interesting time in his life now, because we're talking 25 years ago. More than 25 years ago. Russell Brand's a different person. It wouldn't excuse, by the way, if he did, like, if he went to a woman down the alley, we wouldn't be like, oh, well, now he's found God. Like, so it doesn't matter. That would obviously still hold. But the timing of that is sort of why he was in the public eye for so long. Why not go to the press and say, this guy did this? These are the questions that instantly popped into my head, but I reserve total judgment, because she may have done everything right for all we know.
Howie Mandel here. Ever feel like your brain's a runaway hamster wheel? Thoughts scattering like startled pigeons? Yeah, I get it. In this day and age, we need all the focus we can get, and Go Get Focused is here to help. Go Get Focused is like a personal trainer for your brain, helping kids and adults alike tackle those pesky attention and focus issues. Go Get Focused is like a custom-tailored suit for your brain. They whip up a personalized plan just for you, and you get the gear delivered straight to your door. Take charge of your focus with code Howie10 for 10% off at gogetfocused.com. And I think that even if she didn't do everything right, I also understand why somebody wouldn't come forward. Mm-hmm. And I'm not negating what we're saying, but even this conversation that we're having right now is, if somebody is listening to, is the reason that somebody might not want to come forward.
I think we're having a fair conversation. I think we're going. I think we're being fair to both sides. We're saying we haven't read it.
I think you are.
Yeah.
I think that what you're saying, these words are fair to both sides, but these words, every word really lands differently based on whatever the experience is of the person that is hearing the word.
Yeah.
And I would imagine a victim, a real live victim, hearing some of these words would be kind of a little more standoffish about coming forward. What's
funny is, if you look at the comments under my Harvey Weinstein series, the real live victims were very angry. Not at me. Like, going, I would never email, like, this happened to me. Like, they were sharing their stories in the comments, and were like, I couldn't even look at this person. Like, I couldn't even, the idea of like for 5 years going to dinner with this person or having a relationship with them, bringing my mom to meet them. They were very angry. And that's kind of, I think if I've never been a victim of like sexual assault or rape, but if I had been, I would be angry I would be angry if women took advantage of those terms to try to get what they wanted. So again, this isn't pertaining to the Russell case, but I think it's why we do have to interject. I always view myself as like defending real victims when I see someone who's just tossing around terms, trying to gain power over people. I'm thinking more of Blake Lively's case in that circumstance. But
you totally are.
I'm so Justin Baldoni, Team Justin Baldoni. It's crazy.
Because
we got to watch it. We got to watch the actual thing.
I don't understand why they just don't
drop it. They should drop the case. They should drop the case.
But I guess it's
But you were saying even if the case is dropped, you feel like there should still be justice on his side because of the claims that
defamation.
She made.
Well, because he's
lost a lot.
He's lost a lot. He has, and
you don't think he has the public rallying behind him mostly right now?
Not the industry.
He has the public, but not the industry. Yeah, exactly right. He has the public, but not the industry, and he didn't deserve it. I mean, it's just like it's genuinely a case of just like, we're bigger, we're big and strong, and you're little, and we can do this because we've got WME and we've got gang, and that's it. And it even if you win in the end, it takes so much out of you. It takes so much out of your family. And you will never not be seen as, this is the most A-list he's been. I didn't know who Justin Baldoni was before this. So you're known.
He's been building this company for years, and then he finally got this movie. He got the rights to the movie. It was his movie, and it made $350 million. It's huge. That is the stepping stone to, $100 million budget movies that would have been his and his company's, Wayfair. He lost his agent in a day. He lost any opportunity. Nobody's going to invest in him. I'm not commenting on, who's right in this case. I'm just saying that is the damage. Is it deserved? I don't.
And to hear Ari say it, like, we dropped him. He said, I just dropped him out of loyalty. He's not the CEO now of Endeavor. He just stepped down because I think private equity did a deal. I think it was Silver Lake that took it over. But to hear him say that on Freakonomics, like I just was loyal to Blake and Ryan, so I dropped him as a client. Like that has real world repercussions for something that you didn't do. She just kind of wanted your movie, and she's like, oh, Taylor Swift's my godmother. I can do whatever I want. So I do want some sort of like, when I say they should drop it, I mean like they should drop their case, but the settlement, forget the money. It needs to be a full, like I would feel good about the full mea culpa statement of like, I am a terrible human being.
Never going to happen.
I know.
Public persona is everything though in this industry. You don't think that they're going to suffer too in like industry wise with their...
They already have. They'll never be able to go back to being, you know, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Absolutely. That damage is already done, but that's well deserved in my opinion, having read through everything. That's well deserved.
Though he is still able to get a green light on pretty much any movie he wants to do.
Not in the industry. What do you think? Like, do you think like Sony would have done that deal with him now after all of the drama? Like, what do you think will happen after? You guys are LA, so you guys should have.
I'm a teacher.
You know a little bit more about the industry.
I think Blake Lively is damaged, and just because she is, I think that you know. And I'm a married guy, so I feel like you have to stand with your wife, and standing with his wife. You think it's more, though.
You think it's him.
I think it's him.
You think he's driving it.
Yeah, I think he's driving the bus. From the messages, he's very controlling. He's admitted to it. He's a very controlling person.
Yeah.
She's too dumb. I'm just going to say that. She just doesn't have the IQ. I think her interest in this is literally...
Tell me what you really think.
Yeah, it's so basic. I think she's... Taylor Swift's my best friend. I want to have a director's credit. She likes to have little credits to make her feel important. She's from here. You know, she's never left LA. She's very surface. There's no substance to Blake Lively. Don't overthink her because she's not overthinking, right? Ryan's smart.
Yes.
Ryan is smart.
And he's had past relationships that say he's very controlling.
He's very controlling. Scarlett Johansson said this. This is why she left him. And he doesn't like, he likes to control whatever his wife is doing. And I think a part of that is because Scarlett Johansson left him and had a bigger, more successful career. It's always bothered him. I think that's even one of the reasons he put Gambit in his movie, Channing Tatum in his movies, because he was working with Scarlett Johansson at the time. And so he likes to control things. And this relates, according to him, back to his relationship, which he never resolved with his father. He's had a very bad relationship with his dad. So for him, it was vicious, and it was about controlling. And for her, it was like, buy me flowers, don't care how you get them. And he's just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna, take down this whole guy and just show him that like I'm the boss, and that's how he feels macho. I think he totally drove it. She doesn't have, like, you can even tell the difference of when he's writing an email and when she's writing an email. They haven't yet produced that in court, but I could see that difference. When she writes, it's like very floaty and really stupid. My dragons, or like it's really kind of basic, I'm Khaleesi, and you'll learn not to play with the dragons.
She lost one of her dragons, right? Too.
She lost
her dragon.
Yeah, I was like,
Taylor. Is Taylor going to be called to testify?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Aren't they using your series too in the trial? Didn't they?
I was mentioned. It was so exciting. I was like, I'm going. I feel like I got to get dressed for court, even though I'm not a part of this case. I'm so
now
invested.
This is your version of a reality show.
It is. I was just like, oh my gosh, justice for Justin. And what I love about it is he's just, like I said, he's so different from me. We disagree on everything politically, and I love that it's been such a uniting issue that we're all just like, wrong is wrong. Like, this guy was just a puppy who got kicked, and that's courtesy of Brian Friedman, who did the most savage thing I've ever seen in my life. He just dropped it all online. He was like, from A to Z, read it all. We have nothing to hide. And that's when suddenly Blake and them are like, oh, we don't want the public reading this. This should just be in a courtroom.
But you would think that Ryan, with all this out there, as a controller, would force her and himself to back off.
No, he's a true narcissist. No, there's no end. And the biggest tell was the worst PR decision I've ever seen, which wasn't a PR move.
SNL.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the level of narcissism to have had that been your first appearance. Are you reading anything online? They think you're a bully. They think you think that being an A-lister is enough. Not only did you go to this event, you chose to walk the red carpet and joke about what happened. Like, that is a level, it's like stratospheric narcissism.
Do you think that's him or a PR person giving horrible advice?
That wouldn't be PR.
No,
PR is always shut up.
PR is smart. They would have been like, go play with kittens and puppies and your kids in a park. We're going to get the image out there, okay? We're going to be, you need to look stressed, tired. I need you at Starbucks holding one of your kids on your hip, Okay, any PR person worth their salt is getting that shot. Okay, you're pushing your kid on a swing, you look tired, stressed out. They're not going, here's what you're gonna do. Red carpet, like he totally strong-armed that and was like, this is gonna be great. It shows we're getting back to our life. And it was, and you could tell she was uncomfortable. I will give that to Blake. She looked like she was a couple of bars of Xannies in, you know? Like, am I really doing this? Like, okay, I'm on the carpet, I'm doing this. And she just was kind of like, she looked uncomfortable. And I think Kevin Costner was all of us. Like, he just loved it. He was like, this is not funny. And I don't think your wife thinks it's funny. And this is weird. And since then, she hasn't been seen with Ryan. So I think she then realized, and now what is she doing? What was her recent PR move? She's baking donuts in Wilton, Connecticut. There you go. That's what we want. We want you with your family. She's with her sister, talking about how much she loves to bake. And
he kind of disappeared too.
He disappeared. Well, yeah, he was at the UN. And he disappeared because I think they were shocked by how much, he was shocked by how much the public
backlash.
Yeah. And so he, as someone who likes control as much as he does, self-admittedly, he is in a spiral because he can't control this thing because people can, just reading it is horrific. I mean, the first message he sends to Justin, he drops Taylor Swift's name. It's like, he's just a jerk, you know, and telling Justin to move his timing for filming. It's the very first message. Hi, Justin is like falling over himself to be nice, and you know, I've just been your biggest fan. I mean, it's hard for me to read Justin's messages.
Yeah,
because I just feel like he's just castrating himself, you know, at all times. And that's why I was like, I gotta get I gotta defend this guy.
If he castrates himself and then ties his nuts to his
thighs. Yeah, he's just doing it
like
in every message.
Fire.
Like he just like falls over himself to be nice to Ryan Reynolds and Blake in every message, even when she's being totally awful to him. He sends that long groveling voicemail of like, "You're perfect, you're amazing." Like it's like, and then they didn't care. They were like, "Yeah, he's pathetic. We can just step on this guy. It's totally fine."
But now, I'm talking about now. So he had that idea, you know, and then he saw the backlash. It's like, is there any way? Because it just last night also escalated, right? Well, that was Baldoni. That was Baldoni.
They responded to the case dismissal. So you're going to take the case at least until you get a decision on the case dismissal. So just legally speaking, that like it's par for the course, right? You're going to be like, here are our arguments. They've given them a trial date for March of next year, and in that lead up, they're just going to try to get out of the case. And because then if it gets dropped, then you go, oh well, it got dropped because they never had a claim. And so they both filed for dismissal separately. Ryan is asking to be dismissed from the case on the basis that he was just being a good husband. And he's like, yeah, I bullied him all throughout the Deadpool movie. Yeah, it was about him, but whatever, you know, she's kind of a bully in his case dismissal. He's like, whatever, who cares? Who cares about your tears? Nothing here is illegal. And I'm just a good husband. And Blake is saying, she's using a really weird argument where she's saying that if you ever claim sexual harassment, you're protected and no one's allowed to retaliate against you, which under a CRD definition would be true. Like CRD meaning the first thing she filed was a civil rights claim. And if I go and I say, oh, well, Howie was inappropriate at the office, I still work there, you can't fire me. You can't retaliate. You can't do a lawsuit or anything until they investigate. But that's not what she did. She went to the New York Times. You defamed him. You gave doctored messages that were not a part of your suit. The New York Times said, we have read thousands and thousands of pages of text messages. That right there blew your entire case. Now we're in defamation court. Now we're not talking about, like, now it's become a civil tort.
Right.
And so that's not an excuse to be dropped. Neither of them are going to get dropped from a lawsuit because they showed an active involvement. Ryan listed himself as her advisor on the film. So everyone's getting brought in. Taylor Swift, I am the most excited about reading her text messages. Like, I am giddy for the Taylor Swift factor because from everything I have heard from people in Hollywood, she's a mean girl. And the whole nice girl thing is a brand. And I think Icarus flew a little too close to the sun this time. And she's disappeared. She's done the thing. She's very smart. I like her in marketing because she knows when to disappear. And she knew to disappear. And so Taylor Swift's gone. Like, we were seeing her a lot.
Right.
And now she's like constantly
also NFL season is over right now.
Yeah, but she's constantly having her media person, Tree Payne, I think her name is telling everybody, like, she wants nothing to do with this case. She wants nothing to do with the case. And I'm like, because there's something in those messages that's going to be like, it's going to be a different Taylor Swift than I think the world is ready for. But
you're not a Taylor fan, though. You've never really been a Taylor.
She doesn't have a friendship bracelet on.
I don't have a friendship. I like her music. I really loved her old stuff. I like her music. I can separate like the person from the art, and I think her music is great. And I also think that if you look at her compared to a lot that's being offered right now, I like that her brand is clean. I like that she tries to keep her brand clean. I think that's aspirational. I like that you feel that you could send your 13-year-old daughter to a concert and she's not getting like, you know, butt cheeks. Well, maybe Taylor Swift shorts are a little short, but you know what I mean. Like, she's not graphic and super explicit. And so I like that she keeps her brand squeaky clean. I don't like how she maneuvers in the press. And for people who can't read the press, and she's done a few things where I've been like, that was crazy. Like that. And everyone thought she was a victim. Like the Scooter Braun thing was nuts. Like that was like, that is insane. He just purchased something and it was his. And then you like kind of made yourself richer by the whole masters debate that they were having, which would have been way above the head of a 13-year-old understanding how business works. And I'm a little exhausted of the 35-year-old always victim. Like I'm 35, we're born the same year, girl. You know how business works. After a few contracts, you know how this works. Your dad owned a piece of your business. You didn't come in here like a Cardi B character being like, I signed a contract. I didn't understand it when I was 17 years old and I didn't have a lawyer present. Your dad took a piece of the business of the first contract that you saw. He owned 15% of the first.
Right.
You're not a victim here. You weren't a victim back when you signed it when you were 15. Your dad may have underestimated what you were going to become. That's between daddy and daughter. That's not like, you know, you had the lawyers. Her dad worked in private equity or banking. You know, she did not come in. If I always say if Taylor Swift wasn't unspeakably famous, she would just have to settle with being rich.
So she came into the game rich.
Yeah,
yes.
She came in. Like they just moved her to Nashville and got her the right meetings. Like they were so connected. So it's not your typical come up story where you'd feel bad for an artist being like, oh, taken advantage of. You were so young. You had no idea. So I think she manipulates the young girls that follow her. And that's the piece of her that I don't like Taylor Swift in business, but I do like her music. And I think she's talented.
Howie Mandel here. We all want a clean home, right? But sometimes it feels like a losing battle. You scrub and spray, you wipe and disinfect, but the germs always seem to come back. Envirobiotics created a solution that's safe, effective, and smells like, well, nothing. The Biotica 800 uses all-natural, non-chemical probiotics to purify and detoxify your home. For a limited time, use code HOWIE for 33% off at envirobiotics.com. But aren't we all manipulators or influencers, or aren't you doing that? Even if it's because of your brand or because of who you are or because of the way you think, aren't you manipulating?
I would never lie to my audiences. Like, I mean, when she did the whole like Tumblr post of, I don't know what to do, these songs that I wrote on my floor, like, that was just like straight up lies and manipulation. I have a whole chapter in my book on it because it's the Scooter Braun thing was wild. I mean, I'm sure he's a villain in many ways. I don't know if anybody becomes a billionaire and doesn't do a couple of things they shouldn't do. But I do know that with the Taylor Swift thing, it was pretty open and shut. And when she refused to tell her audience the truth, when his wife at the time, Yale, publicly posted and said, please, like, our kids are getting death threats. And she just was like, nope, my 13-year-olds are going to kill you. I went, okay, you are like, this is another level of manipulation. So I don't like that piece of her, but I think overall she's a good, you know, I think her music is clean. And
so speaking of that, like personally, you're incredibly controversial and you have these kids too. I mean, are you not concerned about, because your words, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of opinions that I'll be honest that I don't necessarily agree with, but I also know that they are inflammatory, and I know what the internet is like. Mm-hmm. And then that could turn into real life issues.
He's pretty clean and like tries not to be controversial, and you still get a ton of hate. So
everything
I cannot imagine
from death threat, you know, and I'm like Mr. AGT, and I get violent threats. Mm-hmm. You not concern yourself with that?
I mean, you know what? The violent threats have dialed down, which is quite interesting. And I don't know why that is.
I do.
I don't.
I do.
What is it? Tell me.
I think it's because I saw, you love him, Andrew Schultz talking about, I think it's like the Justin Baldoni and the Blake Lively and your shift to something that like maybe is less controversial, like pop culture. Pop culture. Even though some people have like opinions, it's not as controversial and it's not as maddening to people.
Yeah. Well, it's
There's
funny.
real world problems.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I've heard that take. I think what's actually, if you look at it though, I didn't change my opinion. The world changed theirs. Amber Heard broke the Me Too donkey. You know, that public trial changed. Everyone was on board with Just Believe Women, I think, until the Amber Heard trial, because I was very anti, like, because I was looking at things and I'm like, what's going on here with this trial before it was public? And I felt there was like, we weren't getting all the facts. And then she wrote that piece and it became defamation. And then the public got to see what happened. And I think people were slower to just hashtag believe women maybe. So then now that Blake's doing it like years later, they're like, let me hear the other side, at least read the other side. And this one has really shocked them. But I've been covering pop culture like that for a long time. Like I covered the Amber Heard case and it wasn't the same response. So I actually think what's happening is we're maybe all kind of becoming a little more to the middle. Like I think things were really polarized for a long time. And I think we're maybe listening to each other more because I've been very miffed by that. I don't know why. I think, and a lot of people on the left will say, I thought you were this, but the hook was I started listening to you on Blake and Justin, and then I realized I stuck around to hear other stuff you had to say, and I realized that the media hasn't been really telling the truth.
What she's saying though, and I agree with you, is that I could sit and listen to a story about Baldoni and Blake Lively, and I could agree or disagree. It doesn't affect me. But when you're talking about wars or something that has a Jewish implication, then all of a sudden that's a little more electric.
But I still talk about that stuff. So I will cover both now. And I think that they realize that when I'm covering those topics, they think I'm taking an extreme stance because normally they're listening to my viewpoint through the lens of the mainstream media. So they're actually not listening to my viewpoint. They're listening to how the media has interpreted my viewpoint. But if you're listening to my podcast already, because you're listening to Justin Baldoni, then I switch the topic as I do to politics, then you actually heard what I said. And then when the media goes, she said this, they're like, no, she didn't. I disagreed with her, but she definitely didn't say that. Like, it wasn't that extreme. And I think that's better. I think it's healthier for people to get directly to the source on topics because the media kind of creating caricatures of like a leftist and like an alt-right demon has been unhealthy for America. I think we need to at least be fair when we say we disagree. We need to be fair. We can't say, I disagree with this person, and so I'm going to ascribe to them like they're a Klansman. Like, that's not fair, right? Candace doesn't agree with BLM. Okay, let's hear her rational take as to why. Let's not just say that like she is Clayton Bigsby from, which was what they were doing to me for so long. And people believe that. And I'm going, guys, I have a very rational position on why I don't support this.
Does Mrs. Macron have a penis?
100%. Take it to the bank.
Her penis?
No, don't take her penis to the bank. That'd be weird.
It might be in her thigh.
Might be in her thigh.
Oh yeah, fire.
No.
Fire.
I actually didn't watch those
videos.
Why
100%?
100%. You have to watch the series. There's a reason why Joe Rogan said he watched 2 episodes and he was like 100% she has a penis. First and foremost, just the circumstances leading up to it. The president of France does not send a legal letter to a journalist in Tennessee who is pregnant with her 4th child, trying to get a series stopped before it even begins. Okay, so he sent me a 100-page letter. The president of France and his wife.
Did you get offered money? Really?
Illegal. I got threatened first about like, if you do this, we're going to do this, blah, blah.
I get why somebody would threaten you if you were talking about my wife's penis.
It hadn't even come out. I hadn't done anything.
But he knew.
He knew, okay, but come on. If
you wouldn't let her talk about mom's penis?
Why?
Because how many times have I said to you,
how many clicks would we get on this show then?
Your mother's penis is between me and her.
All right, whatever.
Not Candace.
But this is the point. You make a joke of it because you know it's ridiculous. That's anybody who doesn't, if there's no fact here, if somebody was going to run a whole series and say Candace Amber, I wouldn't care. It's nuts. It's not real, right?
But why? So, okay, were you offered like $4 million or something I read? Or were you offered some money?
I was not offered money.
Just threatened to.
I was threatened, and then something even bigger happened, which I can't speak on right now, but I'll tell you off record. But it's very real.
Rhymes with what?
He called in some big guns, is what I will say. And trying to get no,
but they got to be
I'm
big
not
guns.
Nervous.
They're keeping you quiet.
No, they're not keeping me quiet. I finished my series. I mean, you know how I am. I'm like, no. It was only supposed to be 1 episode, and then when I got this 100-page letter, I was like, now we're doing a whole series.
How big is her penis?
That I don't know.
Oh.
I have to be honest. I have not seen a picture or a photo of it, and I don't. But I gotta say, for some of the stuff that they're doing right now, it's got to be pretty big. She's got some pretty big balls. I'll tell you that.
Well, she has balls too.
Yeah. 100%. She's got some big balls.
You're Sunny.
Sunny
One
laugh.
laugh. We got.
One laugh.
But the whole point is like
Sunny
you
loves
watch the
balls.
series, you're gonna just know she's a man. I mean, there's nothing. It's like I didn't come across this as a fun conspiracy. I just was literally going through the news on the Daily Mail, like reading light news, and I thought it was very strange that I had a headline that said Emmanuel Macron responds to reporter says his wife is not a man, and it was a video of him like very incensed about this, and I'm just went
Right.
like, I was like, what the hell's going on in France right now? The president has to lower himself to something so strange. And so I then read the article, and it was like, yeah, obviously she's not a man because here's a photo of her when she's 4. And I'm like, that's it? That's all you got? What do you mean?
What else would you show?
I mean, your whole life, I'm a woman. It wouldn't be difficult. I'd be like, here's me in high school. Here's me on a cheerleading team. And I'm like, okay, there must obviously be more here. And it was very weird that they just kept this, like, it was 2 photos from, like, the time she was a tot. And I'm going, this can't be it.
So
and
can
that
I
is
ask-
it, by the way. That is it. That's all they've got. And there's a reason for that. It's because she previously lived as a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau. If you'd like photos of Jean-Michel Trogneau, then I can get you tons of photos before she transitioned into a man. And so it was insane that one of the big lies was like this was like a far-right conspiracy. It was the exact opposite. It was leftist writers that fell down the hole. A Vanity Fair reporter and a woman that does Holocaust documentaries for the government channel, like their equivalent of PBS. They were trying to do puff pieces on her, like a woman in power, Michelle Obama type puff pieces on her. And they fell on a rabbit hole because she didn't exist. Okay. And then the one who does the documentaries, that woman, I wish I'm blanking on her name right now. She, as she's working on documentary and asked them for photos, got called in by the Secret Service and interrogated. And she's going, what's going on? And then journalists that were working on the piece got detained. And people are going, what's going on? No one thought she was a man. They were just going, we can't find anything on her. Like, she's just like missing. And that's where it all begins. It's like people who are leftists and just love everything women do are like, yay, they're hardcore feminists. And they were like, we're falling down a hole here. Who is this person? Doesn't exist.
So you've been threatened?
I've been threatened. Yeah, I've been threatened legally. And I, like I said, Emmanuel made some pretty big moves, which I'm going to keep private for now. I will tell you off record, though. And
that doesn't scare you? I know we talked about the public fodder, but those kind of things, I know you're talking about like RFK now and blackmail. Those kind of bigger things don't scare you to speak on those issues or go against the grain? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm very faithful. I think God's in control of everything, but I also think that if we don't foster the conversations, now these conversations are going mainstream and it becomes a game of whack-a-mole. You can't just kill everyone, you know? And so the more that people have the courage to have these discussions, the more I think we're going to get to truth faster. What scares me is the other end of that. I think that if we are cowards about these topics that really matter, because at the heart of the Macron thing, no one would care about him marrying a tranny. There's an entire pedophile nebula that's around him. And we go through that. People who have worked for him that just keep getting arrested for child pedophilia, it's insane. There's way too many people. It's like, how many of your homies can be pedophiles before it gets weird? And we go through every Élysée Palace scandal regarding pedophilia that's happened since he's been in office. Something's not right there. Macron was 14 years old. Brigitte was 40. Okay? Just falling in love as a 40-year-old woman with a 14-year-old. Have you ever seen a 14-year-old boy? I mean, it's like right off the bat, something's not right. Even if she was a woman, there'd be something weird here. And so if we are going to be too scared to have these conversations, I believe our children will inherit our cowardice. You can't allow people like that to be in positions of power. That's very scary. Emmanuel Macron is locking up journalists right now. That's very scary. And he's not locking them up because they're lying. Like, lies you want so you can mock them. Like, if someone said they were working on a series about how I never lived as a woman, I want them to publish it because then I could take them out. They would never have a platform because then I'd be like, here's my yearbook from 98, 97, 98, 99, 99. Talk to all my classmates. There's nothing. They locked down the yearbooks. You're not allowed to get them. Journalists won in court for them to release the yearbooks. They wouldn't release them. It's a crazy story of what's happening in France. France has always been a little freaky. A little weird. France has always been a bit...
But also as a compassionate human being, if what you say and others think is true, and Mrs. Macron identifies as Mrs. and she wants to be a woman, I mean, you're not she's not in a swim race. Why do we have to out her?
Well, first off, the implications of lying about that are significant when you're in office, obviously. You get to inform policy. And she has put people on, like, she has been in control of his entire cabinet, and she has put people in power that are problematic, as I said to you, as you start to unpack the entire nebula, people that keep getting into trouble. I mean, down to like the paintings that they put in their office. They had to remove a rug because the person who, like, she brought in to redesign the office, oopsies, hangs out with little kids and teddy bears, and it turned out that people came forward and said they were molested by him. It was just it just
Wow.
can't keep happening with every single person that you surround yourself with. So that makes the story bigger because she has real influence. Also, it would even something that you want to know, because when someone gets up and says, I'm a conservative Catholic and I'm running for president with my conservative Catholic wife, as he did, right? And then you find out, wait, your wife's transgendered. Wouldn't that conflict with your values? Are you actually a conservative Catholic? What do you actually believe in? So actually that, I guess you could say that standard of privacy is removed when you run from office. Actually, you have to be honest and say, I married someone who's transgender. I believe in transgendered rights. I believe that the statutory rape age should be removed, whatever it is. And if people want to vote for that in France, have at it. That's totally fine. We're not telling you can't support a person who's transgendered and running for office. The people who are transgender can run for office. They do. We have people in Congress that are transgendered. They didn't lie about their identity. They said, I'm transgender and I'm running. And in whatever county, people said that's fine and they voted. I'm not doing a series on that. It's not my business. It's.
Did you do a series on Snow White?
I did not do a series on Snow White. Why? What did Snow White do? The movie that
controversial.
That movie was just like, she just couldn't stop.
She needs.
Can I ask you though? I saw the movie with my daughter because
you?
my daughter wanted to go. I don't remember Snow White. It seemed like Snow White. I know there's controversy with the actress and her everything that she said leading up to it and her press tour. To me, the movie seemed like Snow White. Am I wrong?
I didn't see it. I do know the reason I didn't see it was because, honestly, I didn't even find it problematic. I actually thought it was cool. When I found out that her and Gal Gadot, who have totally different perspectives, Israel and Palestine, were doing a movie together. I actually thought that was cool. Because in their personal capacity, I don't have an issue with actors and actresses saying what their political beliefs are. They are people, right? She's allowed to say, I'm Palestine. She's allowed to say, I serve the IDF. I love Israel. Totally not problematic. Even better if you can be professional and work together and produce a movie. She tripped into something else when she published that she wished harm on every single person that voted for Donald Trump. Okay, that's different, right? Gal Gadot did not do that. Gal Gadot did not say, I wish harm on every single person. She tripped into just being insane. And there was no way. It's like, okay, well, you do realize that the majority of the country voted for him. It happens to be the side of the country that like really believes in big families, right? And that probably has the most kids that would want to go see Snow White. And then even the people who didn't have big families, like we grew up with this idea of Snow White, and she, when she was doing press, was like, we're shattering that idea. It's stupid. It's gone. So I was like, what market is left for you? You've pissed everybody off. And she just couldn't shut her mouth or at least be more sensible in what she was saying. I think when you wish violence on people or that they never know peace, I think is what she said. And I just think she fumbled it.
I think she stumbled.
Did you see the producer's son's?
I loved that.
Yeah,
Loved that.
too.
Yeah. Good on him. It's like my dad came to you and basically said like there's a bunch of people who have jobs and you're so selfish that you don't even realize that. Like you don't even realize that you're harming everyone who's working on this movie. People who have all different sorts of opinions. People who voted for Trump, voted for Biden, who love Israel, who love Palestine. You elected yourself the person who was going to speak for everyone, and their work then fumbled. That's a tremendous amount of selfishness.
Not to mention how you're crashing your own opportunity, which very few people get.
Right. I know. Yeah. I think she's probably done because, I mean, that's a lot of money to burn.
I want to show you a video of somebody in a gym, and I don't want to be controversial, but let me show you the one in the gym.
I do.
What?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to just start off by saying this is, I don't know if it's my opinion, but I want to know what you think of this young lady. Here, you're going to play it? Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Do you think those, and be honest with me, Candace.
I will always be honest with you.
Do you think she had her lips done? Do you think those are fake lips? Look closely.
That's what I thought you were going to ask me about the lips, because that's where it gets really crazy.
Do you think those are fake lips?
Is this really someone at the gym?
Where do you think
What are we
your
looking
controversy is? Well, I think she's at the phone booth.
No, but is this person in public?
I think it's a. I actually.
What?
What is the
restroom.
context? No.
What?
A restroom?
I don't know what
really
it is.
matter.
It
We
doesn't
were
matter.
asking about your lips.
Her
Oh
lips.
my, yeah, that's right.
What about her lips?
I think she just did a little too much on the lips.
Well, I've got news for you, young lady. Those are natural.
No.
I'm telling you they are.
No.
And now we just got our clickbait for this episode. Candace Owens says her lips are fake. We'll put that picture up.
Oh,
Where do you find this stuff?
Oh, wow. This just in.
What is it?
Who knows?
You don't know. A YouTube plaque.
Oh my gosh. They never sent me one.
Don't you have like
And
4
I
million?
really, yeah,
How many
I
do you
never
have?
had one.
Oh, I have 100,000.
I really want that. Is it the 100,000
You want your
one?
100,000?
Yeah.
You want it?
I just want to hang. No, I want one that says my name on it. That I just feel like
this
that.
has my name on it.
That's a
Does it say
very
my name?
nice
Thank
metric.
you. Thank you.
YouTube, I know you're watching. You can't. I'm watching you give this stuff to Howie Mandel. You're not giving this to Candace. It's not nice.
Well,
Please send me that.
What a milestone. And I want to thank you, the viewers and the listeners, because without you, this wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't have happened.
You're a very interesting person.
I hope I'm interesting. That's what I try to be. I try to be interesting.
Yeah.
And
for
I'm also
a little girl
not
from the New
immune-
York area.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
New York.
You love New York?
I love the New. I love.
You
New-
should write that down. That could be like a
slogan?
or a
I
bumper
was born in New
sticker.
York, so I'm a New Yorker.
Not New York City.
No, I was born
Upstate.
outside. Yeah, I was Westchester, not upstate. Westchester, just outside.
Oh, Westchester.
Yeah.
Oh, so you come from money.
No, God, no.
Westchester, isn't that
Please don't put
is
that lie out there. No, my mom lived there, but not every place is nice. My mom's a high school dropout, so she
Really?
got pregnant. Yeah.
So is he.
Are you?
Yeah.
Power
I'm the
to
first one
people.
to go to
Power to
college.
the people.
Yeah.
In my family.
I got thrown out of. I didn't. She dropped out willingly.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
asked
My
to leave.
mom got knocked up. So.
Yeah.
Wow. Is she still alive?
Yeah, she's
That's great. And what does she think of everything that you're doing and saying? And
for my family, I've always been different, is what I would say. So they did not agree with me on the BLM stuff. They did not agree with me on supporting Trump. They did not agree with me on conservatism. And I have sisters. We're a year and a half apart. So older sister and younger sister. I'm in the middle. And they were, typical Connecticut blue politics. But the one thing that I think my sisters and I in particular I've always agreed on, we grew up with like a tremendous sense of humor, so it never impacted our relationship. So when I was really getting into Trump stuff and I was like, I'm gonna go to a rally, and I'd ask her, could you watch my cat? And my sister would be like, oh yeah, you go to another one of your Klansman rallies? Yeah, no worries, I'll watch your cat, no worries. Like we always just had a very good sense of like making fun of each other, because that's how we grew up. We grew up with no money, and we grew up with laughter, and it's a beautiful way to grow up and to not engage yourself so far that you start viewing people as like your eternal enemies. So it was very healthy. Now
that hate is the fuel, though, that propels success and failure. There's no middle ground.
yeah, I don't know.
You don't think so? You don't think
I think people are tired of the hate. I think in 2016 it was a battle. I think with Trump just shocked everyone, whether you loved him or you hated him.
You don't think this was a battle this time?
No, I think people are a little exhausted with calling everybody racist, and it's just the name
Maybe
calling.
that.
I think we're all tired. I don't know. Personally, do we have to do we get everybody is racist, sexist, homophobic, anti-Semitic? Can we all just agree as a nation and just call everybody everything and be done with it, so we can now go back to being normal and just maybe thinking that people have different perspectives and people.
A girl can dream.
A girl can dream. That's where I'm at. I'm just so bored. I'm so bored with the name calling. Can we just get out of middle school and have discussions? And remember when we could just have the discussion and disagree? Like, wow, why don't we just go, okay, we don't agree. Like, that's it. We don't need to agree.
I found an easier way. I just have no friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hang
I
out
don't
with
discuss.
toddlers.
Pardon me?
Hang out with toddlers.
I did for years, and they grew up.
I grew up.
They
And then
left,
he hired
they moved
them.
out, and then
And then he hired them.
I didn't
grow
hire
up?
you. This was your idea.
Yeah.
She hired me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Wait till you're doing podcasts with your three
With
boys and your
so
your
fun.
daughter.
It'll be so fun.
Yeah, the Owens.
That's so great.
Yes.
The farmers.
Well,
Would you do a reality show?
Never.
Why not?
No, because my life is insane.
It is now?
Would you ever put your kids on TV, on social media?
I don't even do that.
How old's your daughter?
My daughter's 2. My son is 4, and my younger son is 1.5 years, and this one will be here in 4 weeks.
That's
For
insane
sure.
that you traveled.
You know exactly when the baby's coming?
Oh, it's a due date. No.
Because sometimes people don't know.
Yeah.
You know that?
I know.
One of our listeners, Sandra, who was on Maury, I think it was on Maury. She thought she had a tummy ache. You ever heard about this?
There's a whole show on TLC. You know, TLC does weird stuff. There was
Yeah.
I didn't know I was pregnant.
There's a show.
I've seen that.
Show her Nancy. This is
First
Nancy.
stomach ache of my life. I figured it was just the corn dogs I had for lunch. But when I went to the bathroom to relieve myself, a hand came out of my vagina.
Oh.
Hi, Mom!
Maury is a legend. My sister worked on his show until the last day. She was a producer on that show. And it's all real. This is not, at a certain point
And then
you wonder.
she found out he is your father.
No, I'm telling you,
Maury.
so it's all real. I couldn't believe it because it was her job to get these people who had never been on a plane over to Maury, because we grew up in Stamford, Connecticut, which is where Maury was shot until it just recently went off air. But it's kind of amazing because you don't think, a part of you wants to believe that some of this stuff is faked. It's not.
No, that girl's not fake.
No, it's not fake. She ate a corn dog.
Didn't he just
But how do you
recently-
see the hand coming out of if you're sitting on the toilet?
Yeah, that's weird. Why do you come out hand first?
You had to
And the
reach
thing
down
is,
and-
you look down between your legs.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
It's me, the corn dog. Yeah, I just love it.
I think Maury just recently responded to, who's that girl? Ashley, the one that...
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah. Elon
Why?
Musk. Because he said, I don't even know if that baby's mine. And Maury said, do you want to come on the show? Or I could find out for you.
He's just trolling
Yeah.
now. He's
Oh,
just
that's
trolling.
so funny.
I know. And also how ridiculous.
Yeah.
The richest man in the world doesn't know if the kid is his. I'm
Well,
like, come on.
He
Come
has
on.
how many?
Tons of baby mamas.
14.
But if you have to say, I don't know if it's mine, then you know that you were doing something where it might be yours.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry. Like, everyone is compassionate for him, like on X.
But he doesn't know. He doesn't know whether he actually had sex with somebody or he was just zig-heiling a naked woman with his penis.
Traveling into her Mars.
I don't know if it's mine, but I sent the kid money anyways. Like, nobody just sends money. I thought
does.
it was a little bit
He
ridiculous.
does.
I thought it was a little ridiculous.
Want a pair of boxer shorts?
What do they say?
It's
They don't say anything.
sponsor.
Yeah, they're a sponsor. I have a Canadian.
What is my
company,
husband going to say
Man-Made.
if I go back to the hotel with boxer shorts?
If you're wearing them?
He's going to say thank you.
Oh, what
you.
size is him? I'll give him boxer shorts.
Briefs. He wears briefs.
These are better.
These are better?
I'm
Okay.
telling you, they're better. I was a brief guy too. What size is he? What, how is he? How tall is he?
6'2".
Oh, okay. So he's large.
He's tall.
That doesn't mean he's large.
Oh, well, I don't know. Here, just try the medium.
Medium,
See,
I feel, is the right.
here, so open them up. I'm telling you, they're the best things. He won't chafe.
No.
And they're moisture wicking.
And
Oh,
they
these are on the money with like what he would wear.
Yeah.
Yeah. These,
And look at the
blue ones?
yeah.
You want blue ones? You want black?
Blue's his favorite color. I buy him
Oh.
everything in blue.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That is fantastic. So you bring him. Look what I got you. I got you underpants from Man-Made.
Man-Made.
I went to go
They're
visit
good
Howie
quality.
Mandel and he got you underpants.
I got you underwear. I can
got you.
explain. I can explain.
Man-Made. So you take those home to your husband, and
That's so
I can't
sweet.
thank you enough for being part of this extravaganza.
It is. This is fun.
Is there something you want to plug?
Aspirational. I want my kids to do a podcast. That's so cool. Your kid grows up and you get to do a podcast with them. Like, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's like good dad.
The other one produces it. Is in the, I don't think he's in the other room. He
Yeah.
doesn't-
No,
he
and
doesn't
then
come in.
he has a
Is
third
he here?
that wants
Alex is
nothing
here.
to do with us.
Oh yeah, Alex built it, and then one doesn't want to be even in pictures. She's not even in her wedding album. my other one.
way.
Oh yeah, we photoshopped
We
her
call
in.
her secret
different.
sister.
The secret sister.
Oh, there's always one.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
always one. Yeah, exactly.
You should be in broadcasting because you talk. You could talk. I asked four
Do I
questions.
have a future in podcasting?
You have a future in talking.
Yeah.
Were you on the debate team?
No.
No. No.
Should have been. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Now marriage, how's that going for you?
Love it.
You
I
love
fuck-
it?
yeah.
Does he?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. He's forced to love it.
Like, do you
Does he ever
acquiesce?
win an argument?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
you know what? He's figured me out. That's the worst thing.
What's the secret to
I can't tell you. I can't tell you, but he's figured it
winning.
out. Because
Candace-
I realize in retrospect he wins everything, and I'm like, wait a second, how did this happen? He's just figured me out. He's so different from me. Like, he's very quiet, thoughtful. I mean, he's British, right? He's English, so like, there's a decorum. There's always a decorum.
Really? I sit
And-
beside Mel B. I don't notice the decorum.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I did love the Spice Girls growing up. I was like a crazy
Me
Spice
too.
Girl. I mean,
So
crazy.
I went to Spice Girls
But they
concerts
always
with
made
them.
me be scary for everything because I was black.
Did you
So I
not
have
want
a
to be
choice.
scary?
You know, there's just
You didn't wanna be scary?
Your blonde friend's got to be baby, and then the black one's got to be scary. No, I wanted to. Well, my sister loved Sporty Spice. I always liked Ginger.
I wanted to be posh.
Did you?
Yeah.
She's great.
So you identified as a redhead.
I think I kind of still do.
You're trans ginger.
Transginger.
You're trans ginger.
I
Yes.
think I kind of still do. So I don't really quite fit in, but I don't know why.
Is there something you want to plug?
Being transgender.
Oh, that's the new
what you wanna
podcast. That's Candace Owens' new podcast, Being Transgender.
I have a book coming out, Make Him a Sandwich. You can go to makehim-a-sandwich.com. It's unpacking feminism. Actually, everything we spoke about today about like just trying to be more even in our assessments, taking a look at the Me Too movement, examining what feminism was and what it's become, which I think it's running into itself a bit, what its initial stated goals were and aims were versus what we're doing today, which seems to be a bit of a takedown culture of men. And I don't think we're better off as women because of it, or happier because of it.
Stop taking us down.
Yes.
Don't take us down. Just
you
go
on the,
down.
Are you on the
Just you.
Pearl
Oh, no,
train?
that's
Are you on the
too-
Pearl? Do you know who Pearl is?
Oh, yes. You're talking about like Pearl on YouTube.
TikTok.
No.
She's on TikTok. Go look at her.
Who's
Go-
that?
Pearl.
What does she look like?
What is she?
I
They
can't
can
No,
look
you
up.
have to tell me.
I can't describe her.
Well, they'll put up a pearl from TikTok.
Put up a pearl. Put up a pearl from TikTok. We might know different
Maybe you've
pearls.
got to edit
I
out
think
the.
she was on-
Do
she
you
was
need
on-
to
I
edit
know a
out the
pearl
part
from
where I
YouTube.
said "Don't take us down, just go down" on us?
You think that's the part you need to edit out?
I don't know.
We'll figure it out. This is why
Okay.
we don't do live.
Pearl on TikTok.
Pearl
Go
on
look her
TikTok.
up.
Oh, Evelyn's helping us out. Is that
Oh,
Evelyn?
I definitely want to see.
She might
blonde
be on
Evelyn?
YouTube too, but I've seen her on TikTok. I'm a TikTok swiper.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Pearl.
Pearl.
Yes, I've met her.
Have you?
Yes.
Are you
Am I
along
on
the same?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I think it's very strange. It's just like anything can happen, and she's like, the woman was wrong, and I'm like, it'll literally be like the woman said nothing, and she's like, the woman was wrong instantly. It's boring. I've said this on my show because she was in my chat once, and I was like, this is boring.
That's not true.
It's just boring. It's just actually boring. I think it's a very boring brand to just be like, no matter what, I don't even need to see the evidence if the woman is wrong. The woman is speaking, she's wrong. And she gives me, and I said this on my show, she gives me like the vibe of the girl who like always in high school was the one doing keg stands with the boys. You know what I mean? Like wanted
pick-me.
The pick-me, who really wanted the boys to like her and be one of the guys. But the guys, I never found her attractive because she was too much one of the guys. Mm-hmm. And that's the vibe she gives me, where it's like, okay, this is getting boring now. Like you could have had an interesting take. You could have talked about like the nuances of certain movements like we're talking about today. But she genuinely is just like, she's actually the ultimate feminist because she's like, men should never marry women. Okay, so men should just sleep with a bunch of women.
That's what Macron said.
Yeah. And so I find her brand to be unbelievably boring, and she could have been interesting when she first got started, but it's turned into something else. So that's my opinion on Pearl.
That's well. There you go. You asked her.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
Got the
how
opinion.
long have you been married?
6 years.
Wow. Good luck.
We got
I've
engaged
been-
after 18 days.
Whoa.
Yeah, we met and then got engaged 18 days later.
That's like my in-laws. My in-laws did that.
Really?
Yeah.
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 I've been
They're still
married
married.
45 years.
Yeah. Oh
to
my
her
God, that
mother.
never happens in LA.
It did. It did. It did.
I'm
You know what they
shook by
say?
that.
Happy wife?
Happy life.
No, it means she's fucking somebody else. Because if I go home and she's miserable, I know it's still me.
I love that. I've never heard of this in Los Angeles.
Well, I don't think I'm alone. Am I alone?
That's why you
Oh,
got
no,
like
your mother did it too.
My mom did it too. Yeah, my mom
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the other one.
Yeah.
you know one other person who's done that in Hollywood.
Yeah.
No,
They're from Canada, so maybe it's a Canadian thing.
No, but that's so refreshing. I feel like so refreshed from that.
Well, I'm a
It
refreshing
means
guy.
your kids are gonna be normal and everything.
2 out of 3 are
Yeah,
normal, but
2 out of
not
3.
this one.
Not that one. She's crazy.
Sonny, did you write a Candace Owens song?
Yes, we did.
Oh, you want to hear
Oh
it?
God, yes, please.
Okay, listen to this. And thank you for watching. Watch When a Stranger Calls, also with me and Harlan Williams. And do we have any merch or anything?
I've got boxer briefs.
Oh, okay. All
we're
right,
good.
thank
We're
you.
good.
All right,
We're
all
good.
right. So play the song. Here we go. Hit it, Sonny. Listen to this.
so tenacious, never be stopping. With the kids are watching Mary Poppins. Her book club is so much fun. McDonald's hash browns #1.
Yes.
Married to the British persuasion, but her first boyfriends were Asian. Get your
Is that true? It's true.
watching how we
So much research.
get your groove on right now. Watching Howie Mandel does stuff. Checking in shorts.
So fun. Wow, they nailed that. I love a McDonald's hash brown, and my first boyfriend for Asian.
Does stuff.
Really good.
Nice, awesome.
So good. First boyfriend for Asian. Yes! Loved that.
Amazing.
And I get accused of being all these things. I'm like, guys, have you figured out I'm actually an Asian supremacist here? It's one thing they've never accused me of, and I'm like, but I am. I'm always like, I think the Asians have figured everything out.